let's pause for a moment of silence, not out of mourning, but out of reflection. Reflection on the curious case of Washington Mystics owner, Shelly Johnson. Remember her? Just a short while ago she suggested the entire WNBA should have graced the cover of Time magazine, rather than just Caitlin Clark. To statements, just 2 months apart, reveal a shocking undercurrent of hypocrisy. Shelly Johnson publicly diminished Caitlin Clark's Time Athlete of the Year honor. She insisted the entire WNBA deserved the recognition instead of focusing on just one player. Fair point, right? Team over individual? But here's where the plot thickens. A lot of people are noticing. We all remember Sheila Johnson going on CNN, less than pleased about Caitlin Clark having received the Time magazine Athlete of the Year. She made some interesting comments. Actions speak louder than words, and what Johnson just announced regarding upcoming Fever Games is sending shockwaves through the basketball world. The same owner who claimed it's not just Caitlin Clark bringing attention to the league is now making very deliberate business decisions that prove the exact opposite. The staggering numbers behind her latest move tell a very different story. A story Johnson doesn't want you to hear. Stick around because we have all the receipts, including a certain award where Johnson was eerily silent. Are you ready? Let's go! Where Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover and said, the WNBA is the league of the year because of all the talent that we have? Remember when a WNBA owner came out swinging against the most electrifying thing to happen to the league in years? That's exactly what went down when Washington Mystics owner Sheila Johnson decided to publicly criticize Caitlin Clark's Time Athlete of the Year honor during a CNN interview. It has taken the WNBA almost 28 years to get to the point where we are now, and this year something clicked with the WNBA, and it's because of the draft of the players that came in. It's just not Caitlin Clark, it's Rays. We have so much talent out there that has been unrecognized, and I don't think we can just pin it on one player. Let's get into what Johnson actually said because her words reveal something pretty telling. Johnson argued that instead of honoring Clark individually, Time should have recognized the entire WNBA. Think about that logic for a second. An individual achievement award, meant to celebrate one standout performer, should somehow be divided up among more than 100 players? Because when you just keep singling out one player, it creates hard feelings. This statement raises an interesting question. Was Johnson genuinely concerned about team morale? Or was something else driving these comments? But Johnson didn't stop there. She took things a step further by suggesting there was a racial component to Clark's recognition. I feel really bad because I've seen so many players of color that are equally as talented, and they never got the recognition that they should have. With that statement, Johnson transformed what could have been a discussion about individual versus collective recognition into something far more divisive. There has been, this phrase has been couched, hasn't it? The Caitlin Clark effect. Why do you think that has been the case? Well, I want to be very diplomatic about this. It's just the structure of the way media plays out race. I'm going to be very honest. I feel really bad because I've seen so many players of color that are equally as talented and they never got the recognition that they should have, and I think right now it is time for that to happen. What makes Johnson's criticism particularly puzzling is how it completely ignores the measurable impact Clark had on the league. The numbers tell a crystal clear story that's impossible to dispute. When the Fever played against the Mystics last year, Johnson's own team, the attendance averaged around 20,000 fans. Yet, when other teams visited the Mystics, they struggled to fill even 5,000 seats. That's not just a slight bump, that's a seismic shift in fan engagement. Caitlin has brought a ton of new opportunity, a ton of new eyeballs, and more money to the sport. So instead of downplaying the magnitude of who she is and what she's brought, enjoy the ride and take advantage of the ride. Clark's influence extended far beyond just putting butts in seats. Her presence in the league sparked a threefold increase in attendance for Fever games across the board. Jersey sales, those jumped by an astonishing 1,000%. These aren't just impressive statistics, they're transformational figures that demonstrate how one player can elevate an entire league's profile and financial prospects. Well, the NBA's ratings continue to drop over 30% as they try to figure out who is going to fill the shoes of LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry. The WNBA has a golden goose sitting in their league and has done. It's gotten better, but has done everything to kind of discredit the momentum and eyeballs she's brought to this game. You know what's most revealing about this situation? How Clark herself responded to the criticism. Instead of firing back or getting drawn into unnecessary drama, she took the high road. During her Time magazine interview, Clark emphasized mutual respect among players and dismissed any suggestions of jealousy within the league. No defensiveness, no counterattacks, just quiet confidence in her own journey. So Caitlin is someone who has, if you look at it, done everything you're supposed to do and has been criticized along every step of the way. Again, she's damned if she does and she's damned if she doesn't. The contrast between Johnson's remarks and Clark's response speaks volumes. One sought to minimize an individual achievement and frame it as potentially harmful. The other showed grace under pressure and refused to be baited into division. So was Johnson's criticism really about protecting team unity and ensuring fair recognition? Or was it the first sign of something else, a pattern of behavior that would become increasingly difficult to ignore as time went on? I mean, honestly, that we know how this owner feels about Caitlin Clark. Let us not forget this, the pattern of behavior became crystal clear when A'ja Wilson was awarded one of S Women of the Year honors recently. And suddenly Johnson's passionate speech about recognizing the entire league disappeared faster than playoff tickets at Capital One Arena, where was all that concern about hard feelings when it wasn't Caitlin Clark in the spotlight? Time magazine just announced A'ja Wilson as one of their Women of the Year, celebrating her remarkable contributions to women's basketball. This prestigious individual recognition placed Wilson in the exact same position Clark had been in just months earlier, a singular player being honored for her achievements. Time magazine backed themselves into a confusing corner with this latest blunder. This is a whiskey riff right here. When they crowned their Athlete of the Year last year, they did the right thing by giving the title to Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark surprisingly. There was some backlash to the decision, which is absurd, with many in the WNBA saying the award should have been given to the entire league instead of just Clark. What we're witnessing isn't just about one player getting recognition, it's about WNBA leadership needing to unify behind its talent instead of creating artificial friction. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you never miss out. Click the video on the screen. See ya.